Fnatic's turn to pick.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Starladder Season 8. We're here live with Day 21. We've got 4 matches coming up today, first of which going to be Fnatic versus Mouz Sports. I am Zyori. Joining me once again is Cinderin. And our first match here just about to get underway. We're finally going to get to see some Fnatic action. I'm excited about it. Cinderin, how about you, my friend?
I'm very excited as well to get into these later games of the tournament. This is when we start to reach the stage when every game becomes increasingly important. I know it's a little weird to say because obviously a win is a win, and you have to win right from the start to obviously be able to contest for the top 4 spots. But now that the tournament is developing, we have quite a few teams right now that are looking really, really close for that top 4. And Fnatic is one of the teams that could make it there. Like you said, it's one of they're actually the team with way least games played. They've played only 5 in comparison to the next teams, Sigma and SSD, who have played 9, and then everyone else is on 2 digits. So Fnatic, they have some catching up to do, but if they manage to hit a good roll today as well as tomorrow, we'll have to start looking at a potential top 8 that's actually all very, very close to each other. Yeah. And that means that the games will become increasingly important, especially when they start facing off against each other. So Mouz Sports probably not one of the teams that are looking to make it to that top 4 position with their current score 5 and 6. Fnatic, however, are 3 and 2, and that means if they hit a good run, they could very well reach perhaps an 8-3 or maybe even an 8-2, which would put them in a really good position for the top 4.
And they will have 2 matches coming up today. Of course, the first one here, and then our final match, Game 4 of today, is going to be Fnatic versus SSD, the super strong dinosaurs, which should be a very interesting match, as SSD, another one of those teams that, well, they have a pretty solid record, sitting 7 and 2. So that is something we can look forward to. Fnatic going to have their full roster here, no stand-ins for those guys, and over here on the side of Mouz, we've got stand-ins all over the place. We've got Crit and Exist, and then we've got the technical stand-in, Cat for KM. Tricked and Tasty are 2 names that are not ringing a bell off the top of my head.
Tricked is a team name. Utah is the player.
Utah,
Tricked is an organization. Yeah.
Tricked, okay, so, I see. Utah. I'm glad you were here for that. That
definitely, yeah.
Embarrassing. Is that a team, or is that just... I've never heard of Tricked as a Dota team.
Tricked is a new team that is a fully Danish squad, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I believe it's a fully Danish squad that's coming up. And Yuta is one of the players, so we'll be standing in here for Mouz Sports. I guess he is a personal friend of Crit. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes down. Like you said, a huge amount of stand-ins for Mouz Sports, and at the same time, Fnatic, I think they realize already, even though they've only played 5 games, that right now they really have to win, and they have to keep winning the whole time if they want to have a hope of getting to Starladder. And Fnatic, they're a team that I think is really hungry for a title, because it's been an eternity since they won a title. But they've constantly been contesting for the top, but they just haven't got that first place. I think recently they got 2 second places. They got the 2nd place at DreamHack, and they got the 2nd place at the EMS in what was the name of that Polish city again? I forgot. But yeah, the autumn version of that, I forgot which city it was in. It was in something with 2 Ys, Kishi or something. I forgot. Whatever. Regardless, Fnatic, they've been doing really well lately, but they haven't got the win, and they will love to pick up a LAN tournament win, of course, that Starladder provides for the top 4 that go to the LAN finals. If I'm correct, their last win was back in Thor Open, which was sometime last year, I believe, very long ago, before Alliance was even Alliance. They actually beat no Tidehunter in the final of that tournament. So it's been a long, long time, and to be fair, they really deserve a win in a tournament, I feel. I feel like Fnatic has constantly been one of those top 4 contenders that just have been missing that little bit, have had a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of misplays when it really mattered for the top slot. But they are just an incredible team, and one of the most stable teams we have the pleasure of having in the scene right now.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I always like to point out about Fnatic, the stability of their roster. Of course, these guys have known each other since before Dota 2. They were a Han squad before they switched to Dota, so they have a very long track record. When I got to interview No Tail on the morning show, we asked him about that, and he talked about how being friends outside of the game and having that really long-standing relationship really helps build that team morale and helps in those kind of scenarios when you're on a run like this where you've been very close to that gold medal, but you've landed in silver or bronze or something even lower than that, and you know, how you just keep on moving forward. Era's still repping that Flint Beastwood there as his icon, giving a little bit of Han love with his icon. I always thought that was cute. But this draft looking pretty solid, really on both sides. But the Fnatic draft, I think, is looking a little bit scarier. They did first pick Elder Titan, and Crystal Maiden, Mirana were the first two snagged by Mouz. But they went ahead and just grabbed the OD. And with the second pick, they have that luxury of grabbing OD, and then they can just ban out a couple of the counters straight away, as we see Razor taken off the field. And Nyx Assassin as well. So we'll see what they want to grab with their fourth pick. But off to a pretty well-rounded roster to get things going here.
This is the type of draft Fnatic seems to really value right now. I think they're the team that picks Enchantress the most right now. It's a hero that Na'Vi used to be really well known for, as well as Alliance, that just love playing these junglers. But Fnatic have transitioned into a playstyle where they really value Enchantress highly. They always pick it over Chen, and they always run for some early rotations and try to get that Enchantress the wins in the lanes. And if you look at their picks overall, Fnatic's approach to the game seems to be, if we win enough lanes and then by Hand of Midas, we're going to win the game. I know it sounds a little absurd, but it's actually their view on the game right now. And as long as they're winning with this style, I mean, why not? The Midas got nerfed a little bit, but you need to remember there's two ways of using Midas. One is, if you have an advantage, you keep expanding it. And if you are behind, you can try to make a comeback on it, but that's a really risky play because obviously it doesn't pay for itself right away. But if you're ahead, it's easier to expand your lead because you already have momentum and have an advantage on golden experience before you buy the Midas. So they pick these kind of lanes. Elder Titan is a really strong laner. OD is an incredible laner in the mid lane. And Enchantress and Shadow Demon, perfect early game rotation support duo that can really enable these lanes to unlock their full potential. So completely understanding the picks from Fnatic, but when you look over at Mouse Sports, they're not looking weak either on the lanes. Crystal Maiden, Bane, very strong supports for laning, and then a Mirana together with that. And we always need to remember we have a Crystal Maiden against Enchantress, so you can always Frostbite one of the creeps in any sort of fight. And Doom now, even with the Devour, it's going to be very hard for Enchantress to use these creeps, I think.
Yeah, an interesting thing to point out. Enchantress was third picked, so Doom was picked after the Enchantress, but Fnatic obviously not too afraid of the Crystal Maiden and that Frostbite, the damage that she can do against the Enchantress. Bat Rider going to be the final ban, and that will lead to a Quap, fifth pick for Mouse Sports. So a nice pick here, a good bit of magic damage, another pretty solid laner, but up against the OD, I think Queen of Pain going to struggle just a little bit. So that's one thing that makes me a bit nervous about that final pick.
Yeah, this is perhaps not a Queen of Pain mid, but what else would Mouz put in the mid lane? That's kind of the problem.
Right.
Of course, Fnatic did really target their bans toward the mid lane in the second phase, like you said, and they're going to final pick Luna. Very classic Fnatic pickup as well. Just looking over the draft, I think Mouse Sports are going to be in a good position if they get out of a good laning phase, because the mid game of Fnatic, in my opinion, not necessarily the strongest. They don't have too good initiation. They have the Astral Imprisonment as well as the Disruption, but nothing against BKB whatsoever. So if Mouse Sports get to that stage where they get a BKB on Doom, maybe on Queen of Pain as well, maybe even the Mirana, once these items start coming up, Fnatic are going to have a hard time dealing the damage they need to in a mid-game. But if they're early game, they're going to take a huge amount of momentum, start pushing towers with Luna and Enchantress together, and just generally be pressuring the lanes really hard. So I feel like the game plan here for both teams is actually fairly obvious, so it's all down to execution right now.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough, and that's where having that abundance of stand-ins can start to be a little bit tricky. Execution usually a little bit more difficult, a little bit less crisp when you have teammates that you're not quite used to communicating with, but alas, we'll see how it unfolds here. So, I had another point, and I've already lost it. I still think Hani is going to do very well here in the mid lane as that OD. I haven't really seen an OD Quap matchup in quite some while. It's not a hero that teams tend to put up mid against the OD, but it looks like it will indeed be the Queen of Pain mid as she is stationed about that mid tower. So let's go ahead and introduce our rosters here. On our rating side, we do have Mouse Sports, and they are going to be doing a tri-lane down here in the bottom. Crit going to be playing on the hard farming Mirana. Uda going to be on the Bane. Going to have Tasty on the Crystal Maiden. Not sure who Tasty is. I don't know if that's... I'm just not sure who that is. Cat for KM going to be up top here on the Doom. And in mid it is going to be Exist playing on the Queen of Pain. Would you like the privilege of introducing our dire side, Synderen?
Sure thing. We've got Fly playing as the Shadow Demon as expected, because No-Tail will always be playing those jungling supports for Fnatic, so he is on the Enchantress. Era on the carry on the Luna. putting Trixie on Elder Titan, and finally Hani on one of his favorite mid heroes, I believe. Hani is the type of player who really likes to play aggressive in the mid and try to take an advantage off of farming. There's no better hero for that than OD, and I think he's going to be very, very happy with the matchup he ended up getting here.
Yep, and pretty standard opener here. Does have the Null Talisman, a healing salve, and then a couple of pooled tangos. Let's see what Queen of Pain's starting with, and the exact same. So very standard stuff happening here in the mid lane. Opening rune, gonna pop out, and I guess it was denied here. I actually missed what it was, so I guess nothing too crazy. And yep. So it is going to be a try-on-try, kind of. It looks like No-Tail is going to be jungling aggressively here. He does have a smoke in the inventory, and he's sproinking his way down to that bottom lane and will rotate into the jungle. Right now, it's actually a duo lane down here, down bottom, as Bane is sort of stationed about the mid. And I think this is support that Queen of Pain is going to need quite a bit. The Enfeeble already out on OD to make Hani's last hitting time just a bit less fun.
And No-Tail starting to take the fight with Tasty here. Has eaten a tango. He's going to take a lot of damage, though. Gets frostbitten. Now Fly comes in giving a helping hand here, but No-Tail wants to get into the jungle, but he simply can't right now. And this is a good start for Mouz Sports, because I think Fnatic were expecting Mouz to run an aggressive trial lane, so they wanted to mind game them and do the same. But since Mouz actually did put an easy lane trial lane here, anticipating this play from Fnatic, they've wasted No-Tail's first 2 minutes almost on this bottom lane, and that's a start you really don't want to have on it. Enchantress in particular is one of those heroes that needs to get active quickly in the game.
Yeah, slow start for No-Tail indeed. I remember the point that I wanted to make earlier. Having Disruption and OD on the same team is pretty handy because you have both of those. What's the right word? The Astral Imprisonment as well as the Disruption. They're sort of these defensive disables where you're in another. You're sort of phased out. It's not quite a stun, and you're sort of out of the game for that moment. And having the flexibility to use those aggressively as well as defensively is something that I think a lot of folks don't value. But we have seen these two heroes on the same team a couple of times, and it really does make for easy resets in those fights. Whoever Mouz want to focus on, if you get hit by a Sacred Arrow or if you get doomed, you can get thrown in the Disruption or the Astral, and it at least buys you some time and forces the other team to switch targets or make an executive decision. So one thing that Mouz will have to deal with here that's sometimes a little bit irritating.
It's very true. These two, I'm not sure if we should call them banishes or whatnot. We could call them
that's
that.
a good word for it. Yeah,
are going to help a lot against, for example, Doom, Arrow, like you said, Fiend's Grip. Some nice abilities to have here. Not directly helping against Doom. Obviously, it doesn't counter it, but it can buy you some time to try to save the target who's doomed and make him useful in the fight.
And
so definitely,
if you're doomed and then thrown into an Astral or Disruption, you stop taking damage while you're in the banished state. That is correct, right? Or does it still tick down? Do dots still tick down when you're banished?
Oh, I don't remember what it is. There's some things. I think it's... Is it HP removal that still works? So Urn still damages you and stuff like that, but you don't take universal damage from Doom or something. That's right. Really specific. I can't remember. The good guideline is that you don't take damage when you're disrupted, but I believe there's one or two things that actually do go through.
And
I can't
Doom
remember
is one of those kind of funky abilities that does tend to go through things as a...
It's a little hard.
Superior type magic, yeah.
I don't think Doom does, though, but... I can't guarantee it.
If you think about it, when someone gets doomed and astraled or disrupted, try and make a note of it so we can do some investigative journalism here and see if we can figure it out, crack the code. But still two very handy abilities to have on the same side. In the mid lane, looks like farm going pretty well for Hani, despite getting constantly enfeebled here, making his last hitting a little bit more difficult, but still very possible with that insta-steal. He is sitting 17-9 as the last hit leader against the 8-5 Queen of Pain. And of course, I'm going to miss the first blood here as I'm talking about mid. Elder Titan going to get soloed by Mirana, a completely solo kill. Looks like he did connect with an arrow to line up for a pretty easy kill.
Surprising kill as well. I don't think... it's a little bit weird for Elder Titan to die one-on-one against Mirana like that, but I think he might have just overestimated his strength on the lane. But Crit is going to get himself an easy first blood, and this is a really good start for Mouz Sports, of course. They want this Mirana to become a powerful force, since she has to kind of carry against a lineup that out-carries her really hard when you look at it. She's against a Luna as well as an OD, and the OD has had a very easy lane so far. You did point out he got countered a bit, but he's still winning this quite significantly, and it's only going to get harder and harder for the Queen of Pain from now on against Hani here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure on the Mirana.
Yep, that level 3 Astral does start to make things difficult for those IT heroes. We see a rotation mid, but Queen of Pain, a very difficult hero to lock down. as she does have Blink, unless you have that perfect stun rotation, which Fnatic really don't have in their repertoire of abilities right now. Not going to make that gank a reality. But already, Cat4KM has moved into the jungle on that Doom. He is level 5, does have 3 points in the Devour, so just going that farming Doom build, which I think the rotation into the jungle is not a bad choice here. It will allow him to get some much-needed farm, but now Era just has so much space. He's moving up here into free farm heaven, and we'll see his net worth slowly start to trickle upwards. Kind of curious if Era is going to go for a Hand of Midas here. He did go for an early Basilius as well as Boots. So going to be a slightly delayed Midas if that's what he wants. Sort of a similar conundrum here for the Mirana, though it looks like Crit has already satisfied that curiosity with the Blades of Attack, and yep, there are the Phase Boots. So could still get a Midas, I guess, but is going to go the Phase Boots opener here for a little bit of extra right-click damage.
I think he might have to go for a Midas if Fnatic plays a classic Fnatic game and Mouz don't manage to get too big of an advantage early on, because he'll need to be able to keep up with the carries of Fnatic simply. But since Luna just got treads as well, maybe this is not going to be a Midas game. Hani is still keeping us wondering, not worrying. I'm not worrying too much for Hani right now. He's looking good, but keeping us wondering what he's planning on here with 1200 gold. Could finish off his treads, could be going for a fast mech, or of course the Hand of Midas that we see quite oftentimes see Hani playing on his mids, both on the Invoker as well as the OD. We've seen him picking that up. And Trixie, oh, he's going to get the haste here. This is trouble for Tasty.
Yep, now Tasty going to be in some trouble. OD on his way in as well. Moonlight Shadow comes out. That's going to buy Tasty a little bit of much-needed time. The Nightmare onto the Elder Titan, going to slow him down. Now Hani actually going to be in a little bit of trouble. Cat4KM going to come in. He's only level 5, though. Doesn't have the Doom ultimate, and that might be enough to secure his survival. No, in comes the Frostbite, and they'll be able to finish off the Outworld Devourer. And now Tasty's still in trouble, and Trixie going to be able to finish him off. That Haste Rune doing some serious work. Now, while all that was happening, Fnatic were pushing that top tier 1 tower, and they did take it out. Already starting to pressure the top tier 2, and going to be able to do a fair bit of damage as the glyph has already been burned. So, although it is a favorable exchange for Mouz, not going to come for free, and that first tower does fall in favor of Fnatic.
If this kind of momentum keeps going, let's see what route Fnatic takes from here. They have a couple of options. Their lineup can both try to go very late game, but they can also try to have a high impact in the mid game by building the right items. If Luna goes for a fast BKB after her treads, maybe a drum if she wants, or a Helm of the Dominator, and if OD goes for the mech, they're ready to fight fairly early on, but if they try to go for a greedy build, perhaps Mouz will be able to punish them here. They have some heroes that are very strong with levels alone. Queen of Pain, Bane, Doom, Mirana, and Crystal Maiden, all heroes that have a lot of spell damage when they get up the levels. And perhaps Fnatic would be wise to not go too Midas greedy here, and it doesn't look like they will. However,
OD's
Mouz
still hanging in there.
Mouz got spotted on the smoke. I'm not sure if you saw it, but this ward at the top lane that Fnatic has here just saw the smoke coming out, and Fnatic might be able to bait something out of this or simply just avoid the gank.
Looks like they'll do the latter as, well, Era going to be left alone here. He is stationed about the tower, but I think they can easily dive and converge on him here. There's the Nightmare to start it off, and the creep's going to be nearby. Of course, they're friendly creeps from Mirana, but Fly going to port in. There's the disruption to buy Era some time. Era's going to pop back out, at least going to get a Lucent Beam off. Going to be able to turn it around on Crit. It will still cost him his life, but going to be able to make it happen. Shadow Demon is going to fall, which I sort of missed looking at the Mirana, but that's the power of that defensive disruption right there, and allowed them to at least make this a 1-for-2 and get a valuable kill on that Mirana. Might not be over yet, though. Now Tasty in some trouble. The Frostbite comes out on the Trixie. No Tail continuing to pursue, and that's going to be another kill. So it will be a 2-for-2 here. The Mirana and Crystal Maiden for the Luna as well as the Shadow Demon. So carrying support, going to fall for both sides. A pretty even exchange.
And interestingly enough, Fnatic actually banked a lot on that gank in the mid going, or that gank top going towards Hani. They had their supports in position to help out Hani in the mid, but the smoke rotation came up top to Era, and since Era is kind of fragile on that Luna, the TP timing from Fly actually almost perfect. He TP'd in very, very fast, but still couldn't save Era from all the burst damage that Mouz could provide in that gank. So, yeah, they got away with it. I'm not sure who I should say that favors. It was a 2-for-2, and what did Mouz lose? They lost to Mirana as well as to CM for Shadow Demon Luna. Kind of an even exchange, support, carry. But still, perhaps actually favoring Mousesports a little bit, since Fnatic had to TP in 2 heroes there, and the Luna had been having a really good time, so locking her down a bit seems like a good idea.
Moonlight Shadow, Era, very low health here. They're going to go for it. Going to be an easy Nightmare. Sacred Arrow, this should be an easy kill on the Luna. Down she goes. Bane going to be the one to grab that last hit, but a 3-on-1 gank going to make for an easy kill. And Hani, maybe in a little bit of trouble here in the mid, does get doomed. I think he's going to be able to survive. He did get disrupted, and again, going to buy him a little bit of time, though I came too late to see if that actually stopped the damage from coming out.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I'm sure we'll see another Doom ulti, though, so plenty of time. But Handamitis did come out on Hani here. He did go Handamitis first, following that bottle.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Yep. He's going to go for the greedy build. We'll see if this is the right choice for Fnatic. Of course, it gives Mouz a little bit more of a timing window in which they can take an advantage, because OD right now doesn't really provide that much in the fights as he could with a mech and treads, for example. So
yeah.
It's about, I feel like Mouz, if they make some good moves in the next 10 minutes, they could put themselves in a really good position, but if they don't succeed to do anything, this is going to favor Fnatic definitely in the long run, but also in the later portion of the mid game. They're going to get the better of this. And I like that Luna didn't go for Midas as well. I think it would have been too greedy. He'll be going for a Helm of the Dominator, and then I'm assuming what's going to be a BKB next.
Yeah, and that last kill on Era proving to be very valuable. If you look at that net worth chart, that's really slowed down the Luna, who was off to a great start. And wow, Fnatic with a very risky play here. Going to move into the Roshan pit. Now, some of this could have to do with the timing here at the 11-minute mark. Wards have, some wards have despawned at least, and we see right here, no coverage for our Radiant Sign. Mouz do not seem wise to it, and they might be able to actually get away with this. A double damage rune on Trixie going to make this a little bit easier, as well as that Wild Wing Ripper going to add a nice armor aura to make them all a little bit tankier. No Tail going to be up in the front. Nature's Attendants come out, and I think this could be a free Roshan. Cat for KM going to rotate his way over, but not going to venture into the river to actually check it out. Just going to be stationed on his side. So this will be a free Roshan going the way of Fnatic to start things off here at the 11.5-minute mark. And Cat for KM actually does have his Shadow Blade complete on that Doom. His first core item does have Brown Boots and an Orb of Venom straight into Shadow Blade.
I love this choice. It's what I always advocate for with Doom, is that you get a fast Shadow Blade, because it's the amount of utility you get by being able to surprise gank anyone on the map out of nowhere is really valuable on this hero because of his solo killing potential. Not going to be too useful here, I'm afraid, because this is going to be a straight 5-on-5 fight. Hani is going to come in and maybe even see the Shadow Blade. Yeah, he saw it being used, so now Fnatic knows what's going on. They're going to use a sentry here.
Yep. Sentry comes down, and Crit not going to realize he's going to take some damage to start it off. Luna actually going to get the ultimate off before the Doom comes, so if Era falls here, at least he's been able to do some damage. Crit taking some damage, he'll hop to the low ground, and Crystal Maiden has already fallen. Uda now in a little bit of trouble. One more impetus, that's going to finish him off. That's going to be a 2-for-0. No Tail going to walk away with a double kill. Era going to be able to survive, and if he got disrupted, I missed it again. Oh man, I remember after the Doom comes out, but not right in the heat of the action. Cat for KM and Exist now going to move into the trees. And, well, that Shadow Blade may be enough to keep the Doom alive as he does turn and head back to the fountain. Still a great exchange there for Fnatic.
Very much so, and Cred was lucky to even get out of that. He was very low when the Sanity's Eclipse was dropped from Hani, but Hani's intel not that high just yet. Of course, the Hand of Midas, 2,000 gold, that doesn't give him any sort of intelligence yet. Of course, it will turn into an intelligence item in a way, you could say, later on in the game by the gold it's earned him, but in that fight doesn't really give him anything, and I don't think he got a single Astral Imprisonment off during that either, so didn't manage to steal any intellect for his ultimate to do more damage onto Crit. So because of that, Crit managing to get out by the skin of his teeth, but definitely, like you said, a huge win for Fnatic. 2 kills, tower as well, and yeah, the gold graph is kind of just whoop, down again for Fnatic. And XP is a slope as well.
I think they need to incorporate that sound effect into the graph every time it changes and takes a big dip. That very graphic, but you're right. And any kind of fight like that Fnatic can take here in the mid game, as we've talked about, sort of where Mouz is going to start to peak. Did Queen of Pain use her ulti there? I missed it in that fight. It is on cooldown, so I guess she did burn it, but I didn't see if that was a big sonic wave. If I didn't catch it, then that means it was probably not a huge 5-man kill.
Quite. I think she only hit the Shadow Demon, actually. She was a little bit off target on her second target, which I believe was maybe the Luna. I also want to point out, I think that initiation from Mouz, that's not the way for them to take the fight. Like you said, they doomed the Luna after she got Eclipse off. That's one thing, but I'm not even sure it's the right target to doom anyway. She's got the Aegis, so if you bring her down, then she comes back and has her Eclipse. If you don't bring her down, the rest of Fnatic, they have 2, like you said, very good defensive abilities in the Disruption as well as Astral. So if you don't doom either of those targets, whoever you doom can actually be saved and buy time.
Yeah.
So what I would have liked to see would probably have been either a doom on the Elder Titan, who can really do a lot with his Ancestral Spirit, as well as the Earth Splitter. I don't know why it's called Astral Spirit in Dota 2, by the way. I keep calling it Ancestral because that's what it was called in Dota. But The Shadow Demon as well. He's a great utility hero for them to have, or even the Enchantress, so she doesn't get the heal off, doesn't fire multiple impetuses, which really won them that fight. I think Impetus was the big damage dealer in that fight. Luna, if she has her ulti off, she can still just right-click attack and do significant damage. So, in my opinion, a little bit of a misplay, but I understand why it's tempting to doom a hero like Luna.
Yeah, exactly. And if she didn't have the Aegis, I would say that that's a slightly better target, but especially in that situation, I think OD may have been a better choice there. Also, that Sanity's Eclipse, again, didn't do a huge amount of damage because he hadn't stolen much int, but still a very scary ultimate. Not that Eclipse isn't scary, but I guess at level 6 in a 5v5 engage like that, 4 beams really isn't that scary of an ability, and it actually didn't secure any kills. I think most of the beams actually hit the Doom, and he was the one that was able to scoot away, but still a good play from Era to hit that ulti right away and still get the beams off, sort of, I guess, anticipating that Doom might be coming his way. Looks like No-Tail might be having a little bit of a connection issue here. He is DC'd at the moment. Hopefully he makes it back. Fingers crossed that the network treats us well today, Synderen. So good so far, but you never know. Damn you, Christmas.
It's been a little unstable the last days, to say the least. But generally, when the Dota 2 network is unstable, it doesn't last for too long. They generally work out the problems over the downtime we've had over the last few days. I think is really extraordinary. It's often just one day that there's trouble, and then there's a couple of weeks without too much hassle once again. But we've hit a little bit of a bad roll the last few days, and I believe they've definitely been working on it and try to reach some sort of solution with the networking issues. So I guess right before Christmas, don't want to give people the wrong present. So you have it fixed probably for the time around Christmas. They don't want to have trouble when everyone is on their holidays and have time.
I mean, of all things, I guess it's sort of a good problem to have in some respects. There's more people playing Dota than the servers can handle, so all things considered, not the worst of problems, but still very frustrating. And I saw someone posting on Reddit, you know, we're no longer in beta. This truly isn't acceptable, and I would definitely agree with that. I hope Valve identifies whatever the issue is so that, well, it doesn't become a recurring theme here, because this past week has really been hell in a handbasket, I would call it. Very frustrating at times. But alas, we are going to resume here and back into the match. Tied up 5-5, but I think fair to say that Fnatic have the lead here. Goldgraph would reflect that.
Oh, Arrow's going to hit.
And, Trixie, the Pursue, not going to come out. But yeah, you will get stunned here. So Fnatic with a small lead. Of course, they have that farming edge, compliments of the Handamitis. And it looks like Trixie is actually going to be the one working towards the mech here. He does have the headdress working towards the buckler, so it's not going to be OD. Kind of curious to see what Hani's going to grab next. I reckon it's going to be a Force Staff, but time will tell.
Force Staff would be a great choice. It's always, that's the main weakness OD has, is that hero doesn't have anything to reposition itself, and the Force Staff is really the go-to choice in order to chase down heroes with Arcane Orb, also to have a defensive item for yourself if you need to get the hell out of there. And of course, the stats it gives are actually very useful for you as a hero. The overall intel, of course, always a good choice for that type of hero. So, would agree with that choice. I would say that's the best he can get, and I really love to see this mechanism on Trixie, because I think what Fnatic acknowledge is that they don't need Elder Titan to deal damage here. He's a controller and a team fight, a utility hero in this game. They already have the Luna OD as well as Enchantress to deal the damage. It would be overkill if Trixie went for a face boots drum build or something along those lines as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he is going to go Arcane Boots here, so a little bit more of a support-oriented item, but still very solid on Elder Titan. He is one that does tend to have mana issues a little bit, so that is going to help give him some longevity here in these fights in terms of mana pool. Fly going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Exist does have a haste rune on, does have the ulti, and just going to opt to burn it to finish off that kill before the Enchantress can come in and heal him up with those little wisp babies. So that will be a free kill going the way of Mouz for the most part, just going to cost him a Queen of Pain ulti, but unfortunately for Fly, he will get caught, and well, one of those situations where the haste rune does set up for a pretty easy kill. We saw the disruption, but still not going to be able to run away from a full or max movement speed Queen of Pain. Oh, arrow. Nope.
Not gonna connect. But I like to see from Fnatic that even though Shadow Demon was dead, they're not really letting go on the pressure. They're already ready to put some pressure on mid. I think it's because that's the Sonic Wave was used on a single target there on the Shadow Demon. I think they feel more confident to go in and try to do something here in the mid lane. They don't have their mech yet though. Arrow is gonna connect on Hani, but I don't know whether or not Mouz can follow up on this. There's also still the Aegis and Arrow.
Yep, they're gonna pop forward now. There's the Sanity's Eclipse to start it off. A lot of damage gonna come. Earth Splitter will be enough to finish off the Mirana. Actually, Enchantress Enchantress going to grab that last hit, but did do a bit of damage, I believe. Astral comes out onto the Bane. Bane going to be in some trouble, and down he goes. Now No-Tail going to have to turn an about face. He is going to get doomed. There's
does not take damage during disruption.
All right, does not take damage. We got it this time. Yes, so Luna going to press forward. That'll be the end of the Crystal Maiden. And Mirana going to die again here. I think Mirana bought back. Yeah, that was a dieback coming out from Mirana. So all of a sudden, Fnatic with an explosion of momentum here. They're going to take a very convincing fight. Really a 1-for-4 as Mirana has come back, only sacrificing their Enchantress. Aegis still up on the Luna, though. Almost would have rather to burn it right there as it is going to expire in about a minute. But now Fnatic might be able to grab a tier 2 tower. That's really going to hurt the net worth of that Priestess of the Moon.
Most certainly. This is the worst thing that could happen to Mouz right now, apart from getting full team wiped. having the Mirana die twice and losing the tower here. They might not lose that, but I think they could probably hold it here. Fnatic will back out, I believe. No, maybe not. They're actually still hanging around. The Aegis is 30 seconds left on its duration, so perhaps they will try this, but I think the reason Mouz lost that fight was simply that they were outnumbered. They came in like a wave instead of being there all at one spot, and now, oh my god, here it's going to happen again. Crystal Maiden is going to fall, and Era is going to be fine still. Fnatic's there with 5 heroes, and it seems like Mouz are constantly going in against them with like 3 or maybe even only 2 heroes at the same time.
Yeah, and we see on the back end here, there is the Doom sort of sitting in the jungle waiting for an opening, but his ulti's on cooldown for another 15 or so. And that's going to be the end of the tier 2 tower. Mouz not going to find the opening that they're looking for. Another sentry going to come down, being very cautious for that Moonlight Shadow. Era going to get caught in a Fiend's grip. Oh no, and the Aegis expired maybe 10 seconds before that. Very unfortunate for Era. Great timing for Mouz, though. They will be able to get a kill on that high-value target there of the Luna. And now they're going to start to pursue. Queen of Pain going to hop forward. And just going to throw a dagger out. There's the Doom ulti going to come on the OD. Are they going to have the follow-up, though? Arrow flies, doesn't connect. Trixie taking a lot of damage here, the level death, but there's the disruption to buy him some time. Mirana going to be able to pick off Enchantress. Whoa. No-Tail way out in no man's land. So he does go down. Hani going to be able to survive, though. He does turn around. Shadow Demon going to finish off the Bane. Looks like that was a poison kill. I feel like these teamfights are very chaotic. My camera work is sort of on point, but it's like these kills are just happening all over the place. They're not true team 5v5 fights. It's more of these little skirmishes that break out once the fight starts. But, well, Mouz will find a bit of recovery, and following that, Queen of Pain is going to be able to grab her Orchid here at the 18-minute mark.
It's kind of going to be the nature of how team fights are going to develop, I feel, because of the way Fnatic's lineup works. They don't have a lineup that wants to just go head-on 5-on-5. That's not to say they don't have good AoE damage spells, because they do. They have an Elder Titan, a Luna, and an OD, which is kind of almost as good as it gets when it comes to dealing out massive amounts of damage in an AoE. But the problem is they don't have the disables to set it up, which is what I pointed out earlier as well. They only have these disruptions. Fnatic are going to lose Fly. Nice deny here coming out from No-Tail, though, so minimizing casualties as Queen of Pain will TP out, but yeah. These fights will generally be spreading out a little bit because Fnatic's lineup needs to kind of run out and reset, like you pointed out earlier as well. They want to reset, and the best way to reset is to split out a bit. So the enemy has to spread out their heroes as well, and that they can't really track down anyone, and then they reset with their disruption, their Astral, make the Doom run out, and then they can turn around and fight again. Yep. Mouz also, in the same sense, have good skirmishers. They have Doom to lock someone down, they have Grip to lock someone down, and mobile heroes in both Queen of Pain and Mirana who love to chase out in the sides of the fight. So I think it's only natural that these fights get, what you say, a little bit chaotic, because I feel like that's kind of what the drafts point towards in this game, rather than like a 5-man big ultimate team fights.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on with that. And here we will see Luna take out a quad stack. Looks like a double dragon, lizard, and golem setup. So going to get a good gold boost. One of the things that Luna does very well, especially once you get that Helm of the Dominator, can clear out these stacks, and it looks like it will go uncontested. So this is just going to be a bit of solo farm coming the way of Era. You're very close to that BKB as well. Does have the Ogre Club in recipe, so I think he'll have enough once he finishes off this Ancient stack, and we'll be able to finish that BKB. So that's a big item pickup for Fnatic here. They have the mech now on Trixie. That was present in the last fight, though I don't know that we made mention of it. And it looks like Trixie going to be working towards a BKB of his own. And No-Tail going to be going for a pipe, it looks like here. He's got the 2 Rings of Regen, does have a cloak already following up that urn. So going to be a Hood of Defiance, and then presumably into a pipe. And I wanted to make mention of that earlier. I think this is a good game for a pipe. And glad to see No-Tail giving that item some love.
It's definitely a good pickup here. I think he also realizes that the chance of him getting an Aghanims this early is probably not the best, and with the kind of abilities that Mouse Sports have, then the pipe obviously great to have against the Queen of Pain in all situations. Her spell burst is very dangerous, and Crystal Nova as well as Starstorm from Mirana. It's a good pickup, but at the same time, I think Fnatic has heroes that need BKB. Luna has a BKB, Elder Titan's working towards a BKB. Actually, Cat, this is what was bound to happen at some point. We'll solo the Luna with the Doom, but Fnatic will be building BKBs, and once you do that, the pipe does not really have the same kind of impact on the game. And perhaps because of that, not necessarily the best choice here, but I definitely see where he's coming from.
Yes, absolutely. And that is going to be a very easy kill going the way on Era that we just saw, but the losses are kind of minimal. He did finish the BKB beforehand, so at least he did get that core item, but still a good kill going the way of Doom. Now Flying going to be in some trouble up here. They're going to pursue on him. The Orchid comes out straight away. And going to be a pretty easy kill on the Shadow Demon. The rest of Fnatic will back out here. Now, Cat for KM. He's stalking Trixie, looking like he wants to find an engage. Of course, doesn't have the ultimate, but he will just pop in. Is going to get a little bit of backstab damage, the Scorched Earth, and Trixie actually taking more damage than I thought here. Will use the mech. Now Exist going to come in. That's going to be a Sonic Wave. And that will be the end of the Elder Titan. So Mao's going to grab basically 3 free kills here across the map, starting with that Luna, then the Shadow Demon, and now Elder Titan going to fall. So Mouz staying aggressive, and I like that they're not giving Fnatic that free farm room that they're looking for in the jungle here. The tower going to fall. Luna going to burn the BKB. In comes the Eclipse as well. Going to do a lot of damage to Crit. One more Lucent Beam. Not going to be enough to finish him off. About 45 hit points left. Now that looks like they wanted that Queen of Pain. She will be able to blink away, and Fnatic not going to be able to grab a kill. So not necessarily a wasted BKB charge there from Era, but unfortunately not going to be able to secure a kill with that shiny new Black King bar.
They also brought back the Elder Titan. I think Fnatic was really hungry to try to take that fight, but Mouse Sports managed to get out in time, and really good play here from them as well. I think the really good thing for them going their way right now is that as long as Fnatic aren't grouped up together, they have really good squads to go on these skirmishes. Doom can solo kill, Mirana together with Bane can kind of pick up kills, they have Moonlight Shadow to find the ganks. And they've been playing a really solid game the last 5 minutes and managed to take back a kind of big gold and XP deficit to about 0. Now Fnatic will be getting Roshan. I don't think Mouse Sports stands a chance here. The Aegis is picked up by Luna, and they just need to get out of here. I don't think they can fight again.
Especially without Eclipse.
The skirmish type play they're playing right now is certainly benefiting them, and like you said, the Queen of Pain got a couple of kills and is actually looking very, very good here. Exist has Orchid and 3.6k gold at 28 minutes. He could buy a full BKB in 300 gold, which I think he should. It would be a really solid pickup here against all the heroes Fnatic has. Will be mitigating loads of damage, will not be controllable, and will even be able to fight the OD head-on, I feel, with this Orchid as well. So, would love to see him getting that BKB, but could also be aiming towards a Hex to even make them even stronger in the skirmishes, but a little more fragile in case he gets caught off.
I was thinking an early Hex here could really work well for Mouz, especially just based on the timing that Exist can grab it with the Orchid. That double disable gives Queen of Pain so much utility, but you're right, the BKB would certainly give her some much-needed survivability here in this matchup. Exist playing very well. He is sitting 4-0-3 right now. Doom also yet to take a spill. Fnatic have found a lot of kills in this match, but mostly on the supports, as Doom 2-0-3. So 2 very valuable heroes have yet to take a trip back to the well, or at least to the grave, perhaps I should say. So Fnatic looking to get a bit more aggressive here. It looks like they are grouped up about the bottom and will pressure this bottom tier 2 tower. Fly going to be able to throw a ward down up on the Radiant Plateau to get a little bit of jungle vision. Of course, they will scout out Uda as well as Tasty, and they'll feel fairly safe pressuring this tower, I think, because they've got vision on those supports, and they've also got vision in the mid here on existing Crit. They'll be happy to trade that tier 1 in the mid lane for this tier 2 down bottom. As we talked about yesterday, this is a pretty important access point for the Radiant side, this bottom tier 2 tower, and I think Fnatic will be happy with that exchange, especially considering Roche is down. That mid tier is valuable, but they are going to port back to defend this tier 2 in the mid lane. Queen of Pain going to blink into the secret shop, and Crit going to go the opposite way into the Radiant jungle, and both of them will survive for now at least. Hani going to port to the tier 2 in the bottom. TC, or pardon me, Exist going to port into the trees, or blink into the trees, and will port home to safety. Jeez.
A little surprised to see Hani not going for the Force Staff into Astral there. I understand he wants to try to keep the Astral for the TP of Queen of Pain, but if he doesn't Astral him there, they have like no chance whatsoever of catching her. But if he Astrals there, maybe Shadow Demon can come in for a Purge, and then maybe Queen of Pain can't reach the blink she's looking for. But regardless, that was a hard call to make for Honey, because if he uses his Force Staff, he obviously can't pursue the blinking Queen of Pain afterwards. But they do get out of it. They kind of got away with murder there. I feel Mouse Sports that could have gone really wrong with those TPs coming in the mid lane from Fnatic, but got away with it. And like you said, I still think this favors Fnatic. I know they almost lost their mid tier 2 tower, or at least lost 2/3 of its health, but I still think this trade favors them more. By getting the bottom tier 2, they unlock the jungle. And speaking of jungle, top lane, Cat is going to take the first death.
Wow,
overkill.
A little bit of overkill. Yeah, the Sanity's Eclipse comes out. And the Eclipse, of course, enough to finish him off. The just regular Eclipse from Luna that is sort of confusing. Ulti's Eclipse, Sanity's Eclipse. But alas, the Luna ulti finished it off, and they put that sentry down as well. But they do get a valuable kill. Doom does have a BKB now, and they will kill him before he can even get that BKB off. So, well done. Kill going the way of Fnatic this time. One of the other things we haven't mentioned too much about that Queen of Pain last pick that I didn't notice during the draft, but Fnatic are really lacking stuns here. And we'll hold that thought as, uh-oh, Enchantress going to take some damage. Orchid, Fiend's Grip, and that will be more than enough damage to finish off the Enchantress. Now, Uda might be in a little bit of trouble. Luna going to use that Lucent Beam to start things off. Nightmare now comes on the Elder Titan. He's going to try and pour it out. Is there enough for a Lucent Beam? There's enough mana, but not going to have the cooldown. And Bane going to make it out, but this is also a good example. Fnatic really lack lockdown. They have those two banish abilities that we've talked about quite a bit, but not a lot of stuns, not a lot of tools to try and deal with this very elusive Queen of Pain, and I think that's part of the reason why Exist is sitting 4-0-4 right now. He has been playing well, but just really hard to lock down that Blink hero when you don't have any true crown controls. I guess Earth Splitter is their only real stun. I mean,
here comes the true crowd control.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Sheepstick now on the Queen of Pain. And also level 16 on the
OD.
Well. Oh, and the OD.
Well.
Wow, well-timed
The OD, now they have an item against Exist. And this is where it gets scary for him, because now it's about the proper initiation. Who gets the jump? Who gets the scythe off? It's Queen of Pain versus OD on that front. And if one of them hexes the other, I think it's fair to say that they will almost certainly kill the other as well. Exist sitting with a follow-up of an Orchid after the Hex, if he gets the Hex off first, whereas the other way, if OD hexes the Quap, can probably bring him down single-handedly. Of course, there's always teams involved, so and Dota isn't one-on-one, but it's going to be really crucial. Here we go, Yuta. He's going to be the one getting hexed. Okay, blown up.
Pretty
but it's only one kill.
Right there. Yeah.
Fnatic would have probably hoped to get a little bit more out of that than they did.
And they did burn a smoke to get that as well, so it didn't quite come for free. And again, they get a kill, but not on one of those high-value targets. Bane has been the target they've been able to lock down, and he'll take another spill here, sitting 1-4-5 CM, 1-5-4 right now. So 9 of those kills that Fnatic have been able to rack up have been on the supports, position 4 and 5 of Mouz, which is not bad. Kills are never really a bad thing, but maybe a little bit misleading for that kill score compared to, I think, like you like to mention a lot, where is that gold distribution? And that's what's important for Mouz right now. They have the farm on the heroes that need it, even though their supports are struggling a little bit here as they've been picked off a few times. Crit now going to be under heavy fire. He'll get sheeped, and they'll have enough damage to take him down before the Hex pops, and that's going to be a kill going the way of the Mirana, though Doom is going to DC here. So, well, we'll get another pause, but another nice kill on the Mirana, at least going to make it a 2-0 in this small exchange.
And Fnatic, I still have to say this game is going in their favor, even though the graphs are very even. When we start to progress into a later portion of this game, I'm not sure if Mousesport's lineup is going to have the punch to be able to deal with Fnatic's lineup in about 10 minutes. Fnatic will be rotating in towards a late game in which they have the Elder Titan's natural order combined up with Moonglaves. This combination is insane for team fights. You remove the armor of the targets, and then these glaives will just shred them apart. You also have the Outworld Devourer dealing massive AoE damage. Yeah. Sanity's Eclipse is magical damage type, so the amplification from natural order is actually relevant. And so is it for the Eclipse. So if I were to make a choice, if I could choose to play any of these lineups right now in an even game, I would go for Fnatic's. So the problem for Mouz now is, can they make it count, while, in my opinion, while they have the chance? Because I think at 40 minutes and onward, if they're not taking a lead, I don't think they're going to take this game.
Yeah, Mirana did grab Drum of Endurance into Yasha, and now going to be going for that BKB, which is much needed at this point. Ogre Club and Mithril Hammer sitting in the bank and about halfway to that recipe, maybe just a little bit short of that halfway mark. And a very crucial item against an OD. We go back to that quite a bit, but it does prevent that, that Arcane Orb from cutting through you. So, a very valuable item here for the Mirana that I think can't be finished too soon in this scenario.
Exactly, it really can't be finished too soon, but not because of the BKB itself, but because he needs to start his next item. somebody needs to kill Fnatic's heroes, and that's the issue I see right now. They have great control on Mouz's lineup. They have so much control. They have Scythe, they have Orchid, they have Fiendscript, they have Doom, Crystal Nova, Frostbite, Freezing Field. Like, the amount of spell damage Mouz has is ridiculous. But who kills the BKB target is going to be my question. That's going to be returning constantly, because we're looking at a mid-late game where Fnatic will have 3, if not even 4 of those coming their way. Luna has it, Elder Titan is only the recipe pretty much away from his, and OD lacking about 3,000 gold, but with that Hand of Midas we're talking 5, maybe 6 or 7 minutes for Hani to pick that up. Unless if they have a really good team fight, then it's obviously going to be a lot faster. And we're going to reach a stage when Mouz will have to fight Fnatic for Roshan.
Yeah.
And that is where I am actually going to predict right now that the game will kind of be decided in the Roche pit rather than anywhere else, because Fnatic will just keep playing their game. Unless if Mouz force them to take fights elsewhere, Fnatic is okay with this. And they'll go to Roshan, and if Mouz wants to fight them there, they have to get a really good initiation to win that fight.
Yeah, I think Fnatic have a much better Roshan pit kind of team here between the Eclipse, between the Earth Splitter, and also that Sanity's Eclipse. A lot of AoE abilities that really thrive in that small area. And Mouz, while they don't really have a bad Roshan team, I think Fnatic just one-up them a little bit. They've got the Sonic Wave, they've got the Scorched Earth, and, you know, I guess you can count Starstorm doing a fair bit of damage in the pit, but yeah, not quite that same flavor of the double Eclipse that will come out from Fnatic. And of course it will be third Roshan as well, so extra important that Mouz try and at least contest it and not hand over a free cheese. And of course the third Aegis. And speaking of Aegis, I think it's still up. And no, was the Aegis burned already? I guess it was.
I think it was. I think it actually expired.
Did it expire?
Sure.
Has it been that
Mid
long?
lane.
Yeah. Oh.
We're gonna disrupt an illusion. They got it.
Yep, they got it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't actually see the start of that, so I thought it was a hero when I heard the sound, but
yeah,
it was just an illusion that they caught up. The best way for Mouz to contest Roshan is to not contest it, which is to say they need to gank Fnatic before Roshan spawns so that they can take it with an advantage in numbers. They're not going to win it 5-on-5. If they try to contest, they will lose the game.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure that is the wrong decision for them to make here. So try to catch out Fnatic in the lanes. If they get 1, maybe even 2 kills, maybe they can take Roshan themselves. Else, this positional advantage that Fnatic has here, even being dire, is just too much for Mouz to handle, I think.
That's a fair point as well. Being dire does give you a little bit of an edge with that Roche pit. But as we can see at the net worth here, Fnatic are slowly getting the better of the farm, as we would expect, between Luna clearing out those stacks and OD with that Hand of Midas starting to kick in. Well, it's already kicked in, and really kicking in at this point. We just see that net worth chart getting more and more in favor of the red over the green. And we'll see what Mouz want to do here. Looks like they are grouped up about the top lane for now. They've already cleared out this tier 2 tower, so maybe not the best lane to try and pressure. I don't think they'll be able to move into the high ground, so just looking for an opportunity, trying to put pressure at least on the dire jungle. And No Tail, I'm not sure what he's upset about. I missed it. Did he?
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I don't
Oh, Hani!
Oh.
Found a target. He's got the Gem of True Sight as well, so even in that Shadow Blade, Doom is just going to get shredded apart by Hani here. Hex into a couple of hits and the Sanity's Eclipse is more than enough to bring him down. Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, Mouz Sports is reaching the point where they're getting their BKBs as well, and this is the kind of game where BKB will be the most important item, just hands down. Both teams really need it. Oh, Fly almost getting that disruption. Nice TP from Crit. But it's going to be down to BKB execution here. I think Fiendscript will perhaps be a key ability now from Mouz. The problem is, even though you said that Bane wasn't a priority target, playing a Bane this far into the game with Arcane Boots only is really difficult. His positioning needs to be perfect to get a grip off, else he's just going to get hexed and die, or just get hit by a couple of attacks.
He's the only one.
He's very low level and incredibly fragile. So getting the kills on the supports might not be as important as on the carries, but it's still really crucial in my opinion. Love to see that CM has actually managed to get a BKB of her own though, so yeah, BKB is inbound everywhere. But I still think, once again, if all those get popped, Era is the big player here, and he will get close to his next damage item, has finished the Manta and has 4k gold up his sleeve. When he gets a Butterfly, even if he's doomed, if he can just stand and attack in his BKB, I don't think Mouz will kill him during that Doom, and he's going to hit really, really hard.
Yeah. 3 BKBs now out on the side of Mouz. Crit has one, Doom has one, and now Tasty, as we just mentioned, does have one as well in the inventory. That's CM. What's interesting, though, Doom picked his up quite a while ago. He has grabbed a Blink since then. He's already been killed twice and is still on that 10-second BKB. So just sort of an interesting little tidbit there, as we will see some initiation in the mid. Uda gonna fall. Gonna be a very easy kill for Fnatic as Hani does initiate it and just right-clicks him down. The Mirana is gonna be able to scoot away and move towards the Dire Ancients here. Looks like they are gonna connect with No Tail. And he is gonna get disrupted. Down comes the Sentry. Looking to try and shut down Cat for KM, but yeah, you will blink back to safety just in the nick of time.
Now Exist. Wow, a little bit weird here. Blink hexing Luna just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
No opportunity to kill him or anything here. And well, Fnatic do get a pick off on the Bane once again. This is looking like a really hard game for Bane from now on. And most importantly, they didn't use Sanity's Eclipse because it wasn't ready. It's going to be ready in 15 seconds. They have everything ready. Pipe is going to come out, and they're going to go for Roshan. And this is where I think Mouz are making a mistake trying to contest this. We'll see if I get proved right or wrong here, but since Doom doesn't have a stun, if Doom had a Centaur, maybe he could do it if he got a really good initiation with that Stomp and they had a follow-up. But they just don't have it.
Yeah.
They're going to give it away. This is Aegis and Cheese, and they're not even getting a tower in trade, so big win for Fnatic.
Absolutely, and one of those sticky situations where trying to contest that would have been rough. They weren't in a great position, and it's really more sad that they weren't able to take out a tower, like you mentioned. That would have at least helped even that out a little bit, but that was just an absolutely free Roshan the way of Fnatic. She's going to be in the inventory of the Elder Titan, and the Aegis going to go the way of Luna, as we would expect. And as you mentioned, working towards that Butterfly now, very, very close. Does have those first two cheaper pieces, and going to be about 100 gold off grabbing that Eagle Song. So a huge item pickup, and now the Lincolns comes out on Hani on that OD. An interesting choice, but nice and defensive here, going to give him a little bit of survivability. I'm a big fan of the Lincolns. An item that I'm liking at an increasing frequency here. A lot of power.
There's two uses for this item. One is, obviously Doom can't initiate on him with Doom, but if Doom plays it right, he can get level death off and then Doom afterwards, but it does take a little bit of time, and maybe you can react, or at least make Doom use his level death first, which becomes a very powerful ability as you approach the late game, because increasingly more heroes will reach level 25, at which it always deals its max amount of damage, but still, there's a big chance that some of the heroes have a level that is divisible by 3. And the problem is that since the level death ability scales, since it deals percentage-based HP damage, then even the more tanky Fnatic gets, the more damage it simply deals. So having a Linken's to counter that is a great choice. And also, let's not forget, he can give the Linken's away, as of the newest version. Can give that to the Luna. And then if Luna plays it right, it will probably not get doomed.
Yeah. So, with that note, Fnatic going to get ready to fight. They will take out the Tier 2 in the top, but unfortunately going to exchange their last two remaining Tier 2 towers, both in the mid and the bottom. So obviously Mouz going to find the better of that exchange, though now Fnatic going to press up to the high ground. They're going to start chipping away at this Tier 3. Glyph is available. BKB just purchased by that Queen of Pain, and also the Manta now grabbed by Mirana. So they've got some new tools to play with as well. The Glyph has already been burned. Arrow going to fly, going to be off the mark. And Fnatic just going to stand their ground. They're going to keep chipping away. We see that Lincoln's already on Luna, going to get popped. And this Tier 3 tower is going to fall. So basically going to be a free Tier 3 here, as they've got Luna in the front lines. The disruption comes out. I'm just going to make a couple of illusions here as these barracks taking heavy damage. There's the turn. The Eclipse going to come out. Bane going to get dropped. Mirana taking a fair bit of damage here as well. Doom trying to hop in the front lines, but he's going to fall. Queen of Pain going to be around the back. Going to be able to finish off the Shadow Demon, but still Fnatic going to get the better of this exchange, at least so far. Trixie with the BKB on. Now he's the one in the front line. Some buybacks coming out from the Radiant. Just the Doom so far. Era going to take a Frostbite. He still has the Aegis in the inventory and might just want to turn and finish off this melee barracks. It's very low, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Now No Tail going to start chipping away at the Doom. There's the level death, the Frostbite. No Tail going to start taking a bit of damage, but in comes the OD. That's the end of the Crystal Maiden. She'll buy back, all the while Era just cutting through the structures. The top lane of barracks has gone down, and now Mouz in a little bit of trouble. They've burned quite a few buybacks here. They may still be able to hold for now and maybe get a couple of cleanup kills, but no, Fnatic just going to keep pressing forward, and why the hell not? They've still got the Aegis. There's the Sanity's Eclipse. That'll be the end of the Bane. Mirana going to fall. Finally, the Aegis going to get popped. Tasty will burn the Freezing Field. It will be enough to finish off the Outworld Devourer as Exist comes in. He's going to blink back to the well, but oh man. Luna now going to be able to finish off the CM. A lot of diebacks coming out here, and this is just going to be an overwhelmingly convincing fight in favor of Fnatic.
If they manage to get an initiation like this, they're simply just flat out going to win on advantage in terms of lineup.
Yeah.
What we saw just then, Fnatic will be in trouble here. No Tail could be brought down.
He's going to survive for now. There's the blink forward from Doom, and that'll finish him off. It will cost him his life, though, as Luna grabs another kill. Era now going to be wicked sick. And I don't even know how much of an exchange that was. Only 2 from Fnatic died, I think. No one on their side bought back. And there were 3 buybacks burned on Mouz. And now there are 3 back in the grave. So that's a 2 for 6, I guess, to do some math here. They did burn the Aegis, but wow. I mean...
Let's try to do a bit of... let's try to catch up on it. Shadow Demon died, Chandra's died, OD died. That's 3 deaths plus Aegis. Okay. So 3 plus Aegis for CM. A buybacking and dying again, I believe. Yes. Doom, maybe?
Doom died, bought
Mirana
back,
died as well, I think. Again, so yeah, 5 or 6 for 3 plus Rex. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the graphs are starting to get out of control now, and it's exactly what I expected from a drafting point of view, that Fnatic is going to be able to take these kind of fights. I said about the 40-minute mark. They managed to do it a little bit earlier at about the 35 at the top lane, but it's the inevitable problem Mouz are going to reach at this point with their choice of heroes. If they don't snowball fast enough in the early game, Elder Titan, Luna, and Odie together in the late game are just a crazy combination that Fnatic have drafted here.
And OD now going to grab himself a Rod of Atos. The Butterfly has now been finished on the Luna. And I don't think too many other toys have come out onto the field yet, but still very scary inventories. Obviously not much item progression on the side of Mouz following that fight, as any gold that they have was pretty much burned on buybacks, I think. Queen of Pain.
There we go, no tail.
Oh, no tail. Fly. Going to be able to survive, but no tail not going to be quite so lucky. We'll get the wisps off. Unfortunately, just a little bit too late. Now they're going to continue to pursue. Uda going to take a lot of damage here as he gets sheeped. Now Exist going to come in. The BKB going to be used, but he's taking a lot of right clicks. That'll be the end of the Queen of Pain. Now the rest of the fight going to start to transpire. The Eclipse going to come out. Doom will be used, but I don't think it's going to be enough to secure the kill. Tasty with the BKB on wants to come forward. Oh, that Doom is actually going to be enough to finish off the OD, but Air is still alive. He's going to grab a triple kill, and it'll end up being a 2 for 4. No buybacks available for Mouz, and they will be able to press forward. Great lane control from Fnatic as well. Their creeps already chipping away at this tier 3, so this should make for an easy push. And of course, no glyph available, and what? A Scotty just right-clicked by Era.
He's getting very rich. He's beyond godlike now. Oh, a little bit of mistiming here from Fnatic. Will still be able to get crit. He just got blown up.
Yep. And bottom lane
that should be the end of the game. Here it is. GG, well played, Fnatic. The favorites going into this one, and the ones who definitely needed to win this game because of their possibility of going into the final 4. Of course, it's going to be a really hard fight for them, as we talked about before the game. There's going to be a lot of challenge for them, but looking sharp today in the first game.
Absolutely. So that was game 1 of 4, guys. We've got 3 more coming up for you. Power Rangers versus OSG going to be game 2. We're a little bit delayed here, so probably won't be too long of a break between these next matches. I believe the lobby's already up, so we're going to get straight into it. I'm Zyori. With me again today is Synderen. Stay tuned because plenty more Starladder action coming your way here on Beyond the Summit.